All right, everyone get ready because today's deep dive is, well, it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah,
We're going to be exploring the connections between some pretty iconic
we
stories.
are.
Shrek, Wicked, The Wizard of Oz, and even The Wiz.
That's right.
Get ready for a multiverse of magic, misunderstood villains,
Exactly.
and some really surprising connections.
Yeah, and all of this is based on a piece we found
Right.
called
Yeah.
The Enchanted Web.
Oh!
And we're so excited to dive in and see just how connected
Yeah.
these seemingly separate stories really are.
I have to admit, when I first heard about this, I thought, okay, cool, maybe a few parallels, right?
Right.
But this goes so much deeper.
It really does.
And I think it really makes you wonder how much we miss when we look at stories in isolation, you know?
Absolutely.
Like thinking they're in their own little universes,
Yeah.
when really they could be part of a much bigger story.
Mm.
So let's jump right in. The Enchanted Web suggests that Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, might have actually ended up in far, far away after the events of Wicked.
Now think about that.
It's a wild thought
That is.
that she could have traveled to a completely different fairy tale world. And the source material gets very specific about this.
Oh, yeah.
It says Elphaba was seeking refuge from a world that had, basically branded her a villain.
Hmm.
And she stumbled upon a dimensional rift.
Whoa, hold on.
I know, right?
A dimensional rift.
That led her straight to far, far away.
That's crazy.
That's wild, right?
So we know Elphaba's powerful,
Yeah.
but interdimensional travel, that's like next level.
It really is. It makes you think about all the other possibilities.
Absolutely.
Like what other characters might be hopping between dimensions.
Right?
And it sets up this really interesting parallel between Elphaba and Fiona.
Oh, how so?
They're both these strong, independent women who have faced so much prejudice and, rejection for being different. So can you imagine Elphaba arriving in far, far away
Oh my God.
and seeing Fiona not just accepted,
Right.
but loved for her ogre form?
That would be amazing.
That would blow her mind.
It really would.
Talk about a powerful message of self-acceptance. And Fiona's not the only one who would surprise Elphaba.
Oh, who else?
Think about Merlin,
Oh, yeah. Merlin?
with his fascination with magic.
Yeah, he loves magic.
What do you think her reaction would be to him?
Well, I think Merlin would be absolutely enthralled with Elphaba.
Right.
Here she is, this witch who can manipulate dimensions.
It's incredible.
And Merlin, who's like forever the student of magic.
Always learning.
He'd be soaking up all her knowledge.
Totally like a sponge.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Merlin and magic, this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, how so?
Well, according to the Enchanted Web, Oz wasn't always its own separate realm.
Interesting.
It was actually part of the kingdom of Far, Far Away.
Wow, so Oz is like a lost kingdom almost.
It is. It's like this hidden piece of the fairy tale world.
It's so cool.
Just waiting to be rediscovered.
But how did it become separated?
So it turns out there was this magical rift
Oh, okay.
caused by a power struggle
A power struggle between who?
between the fairy godmother and a sorceress.
The Fairy Godmother.
Yeah.
And this rift separated Oz from the rest of the fairy tale world.
So all this time, Oz has been this lost kingdom.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, right?
It is. It changes everything we thought we knew.
It really does. It adds a whole new layer to the Shrek universe, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not just about geography.
Right.
This rift is also like a symbolic representation of all those divisions
Oh, interesting.
that exist within these stories.
Yeah, like what?
The conflicts between power, ambition, and acceptance.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes you look at the fairy godmother's actions in a whole new light.
In what way?
Because is it possible that she had a hand in shaping the events of the Wizard of Oz too? Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Think about it. The wizard himself.
Okay, yeah.
He arrived in Oz all mysteriously with all this fanfare,
Right.
but ultimately he was all smoke and mirrors, just like Prince Charming and Shrek.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, they both kind of presented this image of power and authority.
Exactly.
But underneath it all, there wasn't much substance.
So the Enchanted Web actually suggests that the fairy godmother, in her pursuit of power,
Yeah.
might have learned how to manipulate others through illusions and carefully crafted appearances.
Interesting.
And it's a tactic she seems to have used in both Oz and Far, Far Away.
Okay, so she's got this, like, playbook
Yeah, it's like her go-to move.
that she uses across different worlds.
Exactly.
I like it.
Pretty sneaky, huh?
Yeah, she's a mastermind.
A mastermind of mayhem, that's for sure.
For sure. And, speaking of manipulations, we can't forget about Dorothy's arrival in Oz.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
It's often portrayed as just this random act of nature, right?
Right. A twister picks her up in Kansas and drops her in Oz.
But the Enchanted Web suggests there's something more to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says that Dorothy's arrival, while seemingly accidental, was a direct result of the chaotic magical energies unleashed by the rift between Oz and far, far away.
So it wasn't just a coincidence.
Not according to this.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild, right?
So Dorothy's arrival, like so many other events in these stories, is tied back to that power struggle.
Between the Fairy Godmother
Right.
and the Sorceress.
It's like ripples spreading out across multiple dimensions.
It is. It's like this chain reaction.
And think about what this means for Glinda.
Oh, yeah. Poor Glinda.
Suddenly she's faced with this young girl from another world.
Right, who just kind of dropped in out of nowhere.
Literally dropped in.
And she's caught in the middle of this whole multiversal conflict.
Which she has no idea about.
Right. It's like she's been thrown into the deep end.
It really adds another layer to Glinda's role in The Wizard of Oz, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
She's not just dealing with the aftermath of Elphaba's supposed death.
Right, which is already a lot.
But she's also navigating this incredibly delicate situation with Dorothy.
She has to protect her.
Exactly.
Without revealing too much.
Without freaking her out, right.
Yeah, exactly.
It must be so stressful.
Exactly.
But she does handle it masterfully.
Oh, yeah, she's always so poised.
And the Enchanted Web points out that Glinda actually uses Dorothy's arrival to her advantage.
Really? How so?
Well, she subtly undermines the wizard's authority.
Right.
While also promoting hope and unity in Oz.
So she's using this whole situation to kind of reshape the power dynamics.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's like she's playing a multidimensional chess game, you know?
I love that analogy.
Trying to restore balance to Oz, while also protecting Dorothy from forces she doesn't even understand.
It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
And Glinda's the woman for the job. Now, this brings us to The Wiz.
Oh, yeah, The Wiz.
Which is a reimagining of the Oz story that's often overlooked.
It is, but it adds such a fascinating layer to this whole interconnected web.
I absolutely love The Wiz.
Hey, too. It's so vibrant.
It's like this amazing blend of music, dance, and African-American culture, all woven into the familiar story of Oz.
And it's not just a retelling.
Right.
It offers a whole different perspective
Totally.
on the themes of identity, power, and finding your place in the world.
That scene where Dorothy sings Home.
Oh, I love that scene.
It always gets me, you know.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
It's about realizing that home isn't just a place.
Right.
But a feeling.
A sense of belonging.
Exactly.
And that theme resonates with Elphaba's journey, too. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she's still searching for that sense of belonging.
Right.
A place where she can truly be herself.
And according to the Enchanted Web, she might find a kindred spirit in Eveline.
Oh, interesting. Eveline, the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wiz.
Yes. They both understand what it's like to be ostracized.
To be labeled as wicked.
Right.
Simply because they possess power that others fear.
It makes you wonder if the wickedness that's attributed to them is more about perception.
Right, like how society views them.
Than their actual actions.
That's a really good point.
And the Enchanted Web actually argues that the label of wicked is often used to silence those who challenge the status quo.
Interesting.
Those who dare to be different.
Wow, that's powerful.
So Elphaba, in both Wicked and The Wiz, becomes this symbol of those who are marginalized.
Right, the outsiders.
Exactly.
The ones who don't fit in.
You are made to feel like outsiders.
Because they don't conform.
Yes.
To society's expectations.
Okay, so we've got dimensional rifts, parallel storylines, and themes of self-acceptance and challenging societal norms.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. But what about the Fairy Godmother?
Oh, yeah, we can't forget about her.
What's her endgame in all of this?
Well, the Enchanted Web reveals a pretty interesting backstory that sheds some light on her motivations.
Okay, I'm listening.
So apparently she has this long-standing rivalry with Elphaba.
A rivalry?
Yeah, it goes way back
to when
Elphaba refused to become her apprentice.
Whoa, so their conflict predates even the events of Shrek.
It does. And the Fairy Godmother, well, let's just say she's not the best at handling rejection.
Oh, boy.
So she set out to discredit Elphaba by spreading rumors of her wickedness across multiple realms.
Hold on. Are you saying she's the one who created the whole Wicked Witch myth?
Pretty much, yeah.
That changes everything.
I know, right?
It suggests that everything she does in Shrek, like manipulating Prince Charming and trying to control far, far away, It's all just part of a much bigger scheme.
Exactly. It's all connected to this deep-seated grudge against Elphaba.
So she's not just power hungry, she's driven by revenge.
Right. She wants to control the narrative to make sure that Elphaba is remembered as a villain.
Yeah. And not the complex and powerful woman she really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this revelation, it completely changes how we see the Shrek series.
Oh, I agree.
We're not just watching a fairy tale anymore.
Right.
We're seeing the fallout of this multiversal conflict that spans generations.
And it all leads up to this epic showdown.
Oh, yeah, the final battle.
This clash of good versus evil.
Or maybe it's more complicated than that.
True. Maybe it's about control versus freedom.
Yeah, or tradition versus change.
Or maybe it's all of those things.
Exactly. It's this multi-layered conflict with so much at stake.
And the Enchanted Web suggests that characters from all 4 universes will be drawn into this fight.
So we're talking Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, Puss in Boots.
Glinda, Elphaba, Dorothy, the Wizard.
Even characters from The Wiz.
Everyone coming together.
To face off against the Fairy Godmother.
And her minions.
It's going to be epic.
The ultimate showdown.
The fate of these worlds hangs in the balance.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Enchanted Web. I can't believe we're already at the final chapter of this crazy journey.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride.
We left off with this epic showdown brewing, you know.
Right, a multiversal clash for the ages.
A battle that's going to decide the fate of all these interconnected worlds.
Exactly, and the Enchanted Web really goes all out in describing this battle.
Oh, yeah.
They call it a symphony of magic, a convergence of destinies.
Wow.
Where the boundaries between worlds blur, you know, and the very fabric of reality trembles.
I mean, talk about high stakes.
Oh, the stakes couldn't be higher.
But even with all that chaos and drama, there's this underlying sense of hope.
Yeah.
This feeling that these characters from all these different worlds, they can actually come together and beat the Fairy Godmother.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It really is. It's like this testament to the power of teamwork and collaboration.
Right, because it's not just about raw power, you know. The source material actually emphasizes how important it is for the characters to use their unique abilities and perspectives
to overcome the Fairy Godmother's manipulations.
It's like they have to learn to work together.
Yeah, to combine their strengths and weaknesses.
To become something greater than the sum of their parts.
So it's not just good versus evil.
And more nuanced than that.
It's a story about
the unity.
Understanding.
And you know that old saying?
What saying?
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
I think that really applies here.
Absolutely. It's about the power of collaboration.
And ultimately, they do win.
They do.
They defeat the Fairy Godmother.
Okay.
The rift is stabilized. And peace is restored.
That's great.
But what happens next?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, do these worlds just go back to their separate existences?
That's what I was wondering.
Or is there some kind of lasting change?
Because you think, after all, that they would have learned something.
Well, that's where the Enchanted Web gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
It suggests that this shared experience, this battle against a common enemy, fundamentally changes the way these worlds interact.
So it's not just a happily ever after.
Not exactly.
Where everyone goes back to their normal life.
It's more than that.
Okay.
Think about all the possibilities for cultural exchange and collaboration, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, like ogres learning magic from witches.
Okay. I like that.
Munchkins visiting far, far away.
That's cute.
Maybe even a trade agreement between Oz and Shrek's kingdom.
Now that's a spin-off I'd watch.
Right. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
But seriously, this idea that these once separate worlds can now coexist and learn from each other, it's incredibly hopeful.
It is. And it's not just about kumbaya moments, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, the Enchanted Web also suggests that this newfound interconnectedness leads to, like, real advancements.
Advancements in what?
In technology, medicine, even governance.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying that...
Imagine the innovations.
Okay.
That could come from combining the magical knowledge of Oz with the ingenuity of Shrek's world.
Like a multiversal renaissance.
Exactly.
Sparked by this shared experience.
And what I think is most important is that this shift in perspective, it goes beyond the characters.
Okay.
It challenges us, the readers, to think differently about the stories we've always known.
I like that.
To see them in a new light.
To look beyond the surface and to recognize those deeper connections.
Yeah.
And the potential for understanding.
Even between worlds that seem totally different.
I think that's a really powerful message.
It is. The Enchanted Web isn't just some clever fan fiction, you know?
Right.
It's like an invitation.
An invitation to do what?
To see the world around us with fresh eyes.
Oh, okay.
To recognize the common threads that bind us together, even when we seem different.
So how does all this apply to us in the real world?
That's the question, isn't it?
I mean, we don't have talking donkeys or dimensional rifts.
Right. But the themes are still relevant.
Yeah, the struggle against those who try to control and manipulate us.
Yeah, that's definitely still a thing.
The power of unity and collaboration.
The importance of challenging labels and embracing our differences.
It's like these are all universal struggles.
They are.
That resonate in any world, real or imagined.
And that's the beauty of stories like this.
Yeah, they can take these really complex ideas.
And make them accessible.
Right, and even entertaining.
And remind us that we're not alone in these struggles.
It's like these fantastical stories can actually teach us about the human experience.
And that's what's so great about the Enchanted Web. It takes these stories we know and love.
Our childhood favorites.
And it weaves them into something totally new.
Yeah.
Something that makes us think critically.
And see the world with a little more wonder.
A lot more empathy, too.
Well, it's been an incredible journey.
It has.
From Shrek Swamp to the Emerald City.
From talking donkeys to wicked witches.
We've explored this enchanted web.
Yeah, and I think we've learned...
What have we learned?
That stories, like worlds...
are way more connected than we might think.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
yeah,
I want to encourage everyone to think about their own favorite stories.
Oh, that's a great idea.
What hidden connections can you find?
Yeah, what deeper meanings might be waiting to be discovered?
You never know what you might uncover.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring those stories and keep those imaginations running wild.